It used to be years and months to the World Cup. Now we're counting days. What a beautiful Saturday morning. We welcome you to another edition of Old Sports this beautiful Saturday morning. My name is Babajide Guerrero, and today it's going to be a little bit different. The Old Sport used to be a lot about argument, but this time around, we want to have a football conversation, a sports conversation, should I say, with Henry Okodua. Good morning, Henry.
Good morning to you.
You look dressed already for an Owambe. It's a Saturday, yeah?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
How have you been?
Fine, I'm good.
Few days to the World Cup. I mean, we're looking forward to the big one coming up in Russia.
Yeah.
A lot of teams coming out with their list, but of course, we definitely will be extracting some of these team lists, especially with the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Hey, Adam! Look, I got something for you.
A football chassis?
Hey, Adu, come watch a game with your uncle and I.
Please, come. I'm okay, thanks.
The kind of person that you asked me to be. My brother say he love me, I love him too. I tell him I will do anything for you. But it's strange.
Did you see how many goals they scored?
I no get you.
They scored
I look up like this, say who are you?
So Daddy, you showed those blues pepper yesterday, right?
We sure did.
Those 3 points are sure for us today.
Remind me how.
Game's about to start.
Quick,
Quick, please.
In addition to being an astute administrator and corporate titan, Larry Ephraim Etta is also a keen lover of and participant in sports, especially squash and boat racing, both of which engaged his attention during his 11-year reign as the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, UACN PLC. Of the two major areas of his sporting interest, however, it was squash that received greater attention from the 53-year-old father of two. His interest in the game of squash dates back to his days in Enugu, where he had been transferred as the branch manager of GBO MDS in 1990. In Enugu, he became a member of the Enugu Sports Club, but recalled that he played the game for the first time at the Army Officers' Mess in the Coal City because Enugu Club had no functional playing court then. By the time he was transferred to Lagos in 1992, his interest in squash was a major motivation for joining the Lagos Country Club, where he would later serve as the chairman of its squash section in 2005. On assuming office as the GMD CEO in 2007, as fate would have it, Larry inherited a disused squash court in his official residence in Ikoyi, Lagos. This he quickly did up and began to put to good use, inviting friends with whom he enjoyed the game as early morning, sometimes evening, weekend and public holidays exercise. The informal gathering of squash aficionados that ensued developed into a rendezvous of sorts, which Larry would later register with the Corporate Affairs Commission as Old Trafford Squash Club, named after the home ground of his favorite football club in England. Today, the first and only exclusive squash club in the land meets at the Officers' Mess, 81 Division, Nigeria Army, Marina, Lagos. It is not known where his interest in boating sourced from, but the former GMD UACN PLC is an active member of the Lagos Yacht Club, where the company sponsors the annual UACN Trophy race. He's also a trustee of the Apapa Boat Club.
Interesting sight there as we see Mr. Larry Etta, the outgoing GMD CEO of UAC, showing us some sports move right there. All right, so more juicy story right now during the course of the week. Gernot Rohr brought out his own provisional list, just like other teams around the world. You know, it's a World Cup season, and we're looking at the 30-man provisional list as presented by Gernot Rohr. Overall, what are your thoughts about this list?
I think better late than never, finally coming. There was so much speculation about who the kind of players that will make up the team. And finally, when the list came, it elicited, of course, talk from quarters that certain players should have been there as usual. You know, Nigerians, we are coaches.
Absolutely.
So certain
A
players
lot of us
should have been there.
are carrying UEFA license, in fact.
Exactly. And I can tell you that a lot of our people out there, they already have their final 23-man list, even as we are talking about a 30-man list. And it was, you know, mixed blessings, certain players that should have been there that are not there, certain players who are missing out, certain players who are there that should be there. And so generally, I think it's a balanced team. We have a balanced team that from the goalkeeping section through the defense to the midfield to the attack, I think if we can do the right kind of selection, we should be able to say, yes, we have a team for the World Cup.
All right, by selection, Henry means the final 23 coming up in recent weeks. As we see, Nigeria will be playing some couple of friendlies coming through. How about we take a look right now on your screen? Will be the provisional 30-man list by Gernot Rohr, the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So in the goalkeeping position, Francis Uzoho, Ikechukwu Ezenwa. But all right, so let's be devil's advocates, okay? It's not a good position, but that's what we have to earn at this moment. How about we do our own 23-man list and then we ask audience as well, our viewers, I beg your pardon, to please go to our social media platform, that's at HotsportsNG on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and probably put in their own first 11 of the Super Eagles. So, shall we, Henry? In the goalkeeping session, we've got 4 goalkeepers. Francis Uzoho, we saw him earlier in a couple of the friendlies. Ikechukwu Ezenwa, Daniel Akpeyi, Dele Ajiboye. 4 can go.
You could say, for lack of exposure and all of that, Dele Ajiboye could just be the sacrificial lamb in this group, and so we are going to have, you know,
to make do with Francis, Ikechukwu, and Daniel.
The 3 of them.
Meanwhile, for the defenders, Leon Balogun, William Troost Ekong, Kenneth Omero, Brian Idowu, Ederson Echejile, Shehu Abdullahi Olaino, Taron Ebohi, Stephen Eze, and Chidozie Awaziem. Let's just say typically 2 must go here, and for the life of me, I think it's going to be difficult for Stephen Eze and Chidozie Awaziem to keep their place in this team. I would also think, it's a matter of being fair, okay, but I think Kenneth Omero maybe hasn't done much this season to be in this particular team.
He used to pair with Obuabona in the central midfield, but since the advent of a certain William Trusekong and Leon Balogun in the middle, he has had to play a big part role, you know, once in a while. And those few games he has played, he has left much to be desired, you know, leaving that place very open. At the end of the day, I still think Rohr will want to stick to the players he's sure of.
Of course, that's in terms of the backline, maybe Troost Ekong and Leon Balogun. Of course, we're not Raw, we're only predicting what could happen. So, how about we look at the midfield now, shall we? Michael Obi, Joel Obi, Onazi Ogeni, Michael Agu, Etebo Ogenekaro, of course, Etebo, John Ogu, Uche Agbo, and Wilfred Ndidi. Joel Obi, a lot of people say, I think is that player that is good enough to play the national team. The talent is there, the potential is there, but he's just not getting there. For me, it still looks like that player that is very, very far away from reaching his full potentials. Yeah,
unfortunately for him, injury has not helped his case, and that has also, you know, affected his consistency, because when injury allows you, you play regularly and you're able to show what you can do. And I think his arrival in the national team is a bit late, because if he had had the time to play the qualifiers with the team, he would have progressed, you know. And we do not have the luxury of time. The time is too short to see him. He played 2 friendlies the last time, Poland, Serbia. He didn't really hold his place when you consider, especially in the absence of John Mikel Obi, the midfield looked out of sorts.
Absolutely.
And so we expected that in the absence of John Mikel Obi, he would really stamp his authority. He did not do that. So he's coming in like Awaziem. It's like giving him the last chance, perhaps. And I think if anyone is to be sacrificed, we just have 8 midfielders here. If anyone is to be sacrificed, Joel should be a candidate. No sentiments here, like we said. Then Uche Agbo, here and there is not irregular with the team, so I think
it's pretty much easy in the midfield. There's little or nothing for Gernot Rohr to think about in that midfield.
Yeah, because if you look at the defense, because of the problems we'll be having in defense, if you add the goalkeeping section, then that's why he picked 10 players in the first place. And if you look at all the departments, is the defense he concentrated more on by bringing 10 players. And like you said, it's easier now in the midfield because you have just 8 players there.
It's easier. How about the forward now? Shall we take a look at that now? Ahmed Musa makes a return to this particular list. Odion Igalo as well. Also joining them will be Moses Simon and another Moses who happened not to be his brother, Victor Moses, Junior Lokosa, Simeon Nwankwo, Alex Iwobi, and Kelechi Iheanacho. We know for a fact that there are some players. No player, I beg your pardon, is untouchable, but we noticed that some players that would always want to get into that team. But now it's time to make a claim. Is Junior Lokosa and Simeon Nwankwo, are they good enough to make it to the World Cup, to the final 23?
I just feel Lokosa should, I think it's an honor, at this time to get into the national team, but not good enough to go to the World Cup now, because you do not get into the World Cup, unless you are exceptionally good. You don't just break into the World Cup more so from the local league.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do well to go to the Twitter feeds and, of course, the Facebook platform. That's at OutSportNG. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Do well to tell us what your first 11 would be for the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the World Cup. And we're looking forward to how this would be looking like. It's the provisional list we just extracted. How about we take a look as well at the team against Atletico Madrid? There's a lot of good news coming in for Nigeria at this time. The Chan Eagles will be playing, or should I say, the Eagles B team.
Yeah, B team.
They will play a hybrid, absolutely hybrid friendly against Atletico Madrid, the champions of the Europa League, and their list is also out. That will be on your screen. We're looking forward to a great game of football. This one is good for the exposure, especially for the home-based player. We can confirm that 16 home-based players and 7 foreign-based.
Great. I think you must give kudos to the LMC. They are doing a lot to expose our players. There were times they even took them out on a tour to Spain and elsewhere. And it's been helping the profile of our players regularly. There was a time a player scored a goal and CNN had to rate it in the local league. And CNN took a notice. So I think the organization is getting better and players are getting more exposed. And now this is another big chance, against a team that just won the Europa League. Never mind that some of the big names will not be there. It's still Atletico Madrid, of Spain.
Absolutely.
And we're going to play with them. And I see some very interesting names here,
Kelechi Nwankwo.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Players like the Chidebere
Nwankwo as well.
Musa, Mohammed, guys that won on the 17 World Cup, some teammates of Iheanacho and the rest of them.
Absolutely.
Uzoha and the rest of them. So it's going to be interesting.
Stanley Okorom of MFM.
Yes,
on this particular
in fact,
team.
you have 2 MFM players there. You have Sunshine, sprinkling or other players. Plateau United, 2 players like that. You just spread over Rangers International, Kano Pillars, presenting teams in that thing. And so it's evenly distributed. We are looking for an exciting game in Uyo. And from there on, it's a week of football. From there on, they go on to play the Congo game, but the Super Eagles themselves.
Absolutely.
And I hear that the camp itself will open in Uyo. The Super Eagles, I just confirmed with the media officer, Tony Bitori, and he said the Team A, that is the Super Eagles itself, are going to all converge in Uyo, on Monday, then go and watch the game on Tuesday against Atletico Madrid. Then after that, they all cruise to Port Harcourt, venue of the Congo game. And so it's going to be a whole week of football and excitement, and fans are able to assess the team before they go on the final leg of the World Cup.
All right, finally speaking on the Congo game now coming up for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The president of NFF, Amaju Pinnick, has come out to say the game must go on regardless of the Ebola outbreak in Congo. And yes, his thoughts are that there are extra medical precautions that will be taken, and at the same time that the team is also going to be played. Congo's team is coming in from different parts of the world, and 98% of them are more Congolese. So let's just say the whole health scare and hazard would really be, would simmer down as this game is particularly coming up in Nigeria. Remember that this is for the World Cup coming up in June, and we're absolutely excited at this particular prospect. All right, so we'll go for a quick break, and when we return, Old Sports continues this morning.
Hey, Adu.
Hey, Dad.
Look, I got something for you.
A football chassis?
Hey, Adu. Come watch a game with your uncle and I.
I'm okay, thanks.
So, Guy, you showed those blues pepper yesterday, right?
We sure did.
Those 3 points are sure for us today. Game's about to start. Quickly.
And we are back. Thank you very much for joining us. It's still Old Sports this very beautiful Saturday morning. The name is Babajide Guerrero, and I'm still being joined by Henry Okodua. He's not in any way, related to Thierry Henry of Arsenal anyways. But speaking of Arsenal, at the moment, they're set to gamble on Arsenal. Arsene Wenger leaving now is gone, of course, we know that but Arsenal about to gamble on Thierry Henry, Mikel Arteta, and we hear most of the big-time coaches that want to come up are not accepting, their terms, especially Luis Enrique, formerly of Barcelona.
There's been a lot of names being, bandied about, particularly that of Luis Enrique, formerly of Barcelona. Everyone thinks that because of his style, the style of play of Barcelona and his orientation as a Spaniard, he will suit the Arsenal kind of football. But his asking price is that high and they can't cope. And now they have decided to lower their expectation and take a risk on some of the ex-players like Patrick Vieira. At the time he came into the picture. But mostly now they have narrowed it down to Mikel Arteta, who's presently assistant to Guardiola at Man City. And Thierry Henry, who is regarded as a legend of the club, but sometimes, being a good football player does not necessarily translate into being a good coach. But if we are to consider the fact that Zinedine Zidane has succeeded so far with Real Madrid, it might also help Arsenal's decision to use an ex-player as coach of the team who understands the philosophy of the club and won't, have to cost them too much.
Of course, what we're hearing is that Fjerde Ljungberg and Per Mertesacker and Jens Lehmann, former players of Arsenal, would also be in this setup to make Arsenal formidable again. But it's going to be a long, long road to freedom, especially if you're considering how Manchester United has adapted since Alex Ferguson left, how Gerard Houllier leaving Liverpool as well has affected, and even Rafa Benitez. It's going to be a tough transition, but I'm sure they're ready for this. But definitely what we weren't ready for is another bad news in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Our thoughts and our wishes are with the families of Isa Husseini of Niger Tornadoes, passed on. Just recently we lost Chinedu Udoji, and we're not going to dwell much on this particular incident, but we want to say that our thoughts and our wishes are with the families and the whole of Niger Tornadoes and the families of this young man who played in the match day 21. He was even man of the match in that particular game, but
only to die in the evening of the same game.
It's quite disturbing at this time. All right, that's it right there. We wish the very best for the families, and of course our thoughts are with them, like I said earlier. Moving on right now to the it's a mouth twister race. Race, of course, it's time for us to review the happenings in that particular race. But Henry, I didn't see you out there. Why?
I was not invited. And besides, I don't run the marathon.
Oh, what do you run? Sprints?
Yeah, perhaps.
Oh, okay, perhaps. Or you play squash now?
No, I don't want to go there.
Oh, okay. All right, but let's go this way. The Okpekpe race has come and gone, and of course, it's always going to be dominated by Kenyans. Henry.
Of course, they are suited for long distance races. Everyone knows that. The whole world knows that. And so, almost certainly, when you organize championship of this nature in high rises in your altitudes, you expect them to win. They are made for that.
Absolutely.
But recently, Nigerians are beginning to claw their way in, because the incentives are very much.
Absolutely,
it's high.
And
so,
speaking of Nigerians clawing their way in, we're going to say kudos to the marathon couple, Emmanuel Gian and Deborah Pam. Of course, living up to their promise of winning their, another Okpekpe race right there. And of course, the Kenyans as well would always come to the party. Kibet Alex running in 29 minutes 46 seconds to win gold. Simon Chiprat coming in 30.29 minutes, while Ronald Timothy Kiplagat finished in third position. In the female category, Yami Deradida of Ethiopia winning with 33 minutes and 01 seconds. Sandra Chebet of Kenya as well. And at the same time, Kipyoge Diana Chemte crossed the finish line at 34 minutes 24 seconds, and a lot of money spinning here and there for the Okpekpe race. Maybe next year, maybe you and I should probably just brace up for it, right?
Perhaps we should just try our luck.
I think I would rather just start with running from here to the gate before I try that. Anyways, moving on at the moment on the show, we're going to be talking at this time about athletics. And interestingly, with Opepe race done and dusted, another thing that was done and dusted will be the Gold Coast in Australia. But some things are just refusing to leave that particular country. Now, interestingly, maybe you should take us through this, Henry.
Well, at the height of the games, in Gold Coast, Australia, there was this scandal that broke out concerning, athletes of African descent who were said to have absconded from camp, even including a coach from, I think, is it Uganda or Cameroon?
Yes, please.
And wholesale, and they had to put out a dragnet, to try to get them back. But now recently, the country has just announced that, look, we are not saying you shouldn't stay, but normalize your stay or get out. That is the latest one. The athletes and the officials that absconded from their team have been warned or given a riot act. You either come back to the home office, you normalize your papers to stay, or you leave the country.
This is quite sad, really, especially if you're looking at it from an angle of an African. 8 Cameroonians, 2 Ugandans, and a Rwandan powerlifting coach, and they've gone missing from the games. And this right here is not particularly good times, especially if at all. I mean, you went for a good course, you should leave, be there, enjoy yourself, and come back home. That's the point of international organization.
But it's always happening. This is not the first time. Big time tournaments. You also hear of players who go to the World Cup, they don't come back. They go to Commonwealth Games, they don't come back. They go to the Olympics, they don't come back. It has happened so many times. It's just that this one got an unusual, attention.
Absolutely. All right. So finally, on the show on the home stretch, we'll talk about tennis now, as Zverev defeats Thiam in the Madrid Open. This happened on Sunday, and congratulations to Zverev. A lot of people have seen this guy is the next big thing after Roger Federer, after Nadal, after the old, battles going on. Zverev happened to be the next big thing, and what a way to win the Madrid Open.
I think in each era, certain players announce themselves by beating bigger players. I recall in 1985, as far back as 1985, Boris Becker at 17 won the Wimbledon. He surprised everybody. Where he had John McEnroe, the great Mats Wilander, John Borg, great tennis stars, and an upstart, a young boy, a German, at 17, winning the Wimbledon. And it has happened all over time. The Andrea Agassis of this world, Pete Sampras, Roger Federer, on and on, Rafael Nadal, and now suddenly, in fact, the team that stopped Nadal's, winning run was also stopped by Zverev, and so it becomes interesting.
Yeah, what a news right now for Waheed Oshodi, who has recently been appointed as the new head of the nomination committee of the International Table Tennis Federation, ITTF. This is a big news.
Yes, big news, great recognition and honor for a passionate tennis administrator we have known over time. There are certain people who just do certain things because of pecuniary interest, but not Waheed Oshodi. We have heard of situations where he had to use this money to camp players, when he was president of the Nigerian Tennis Federation and commissioner for sports in Lagos. And so I think it's a worthy honor for a deserving personality.
Congratulations to Waheed Oshodi, of course. This are the kind of news we want to hear, not news of people going somewhere and not wanting to return home. It's a beautiful Saturday and we're done and dusted. How time flies when you're having fun. I've had tremendous fun on today's show with Henry Okodwa. Thank you very much for coming, Henry.
It's always a pleasure discussing sports with you.
Absolutely, always a pleasure. And for you out there, our viewers, thank you very much for making our Saturday always a delight to come your way on NTA Network. Remember that it's at OutSportNG on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And most importantly, do well to explore and exploit our social media platforms and our website, www.outsporttv.com. Till I come your way next week, Saturday, with a new edition. Please take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.